Hi, this is Kevin Purcell with another Theotek Extra. Today I'm going to show you the Accordance Bible software version 12. I'm just going to do a quick overview of the user interface and talk about a few of the things I like and what I wish they would improve upon. This is part of a review that I'm doing for churchtechtoday.com. You can go over to Church Tech Today and search for Accordance, and you'll find that post there. It'll be up probably by the end of February 2017. So if you're watching this before it's posted, just be patient. It'll show up. So when you open up Accordance, this isn't the way it'll open up when you first install the program. But I've customized my Workspace here. And you notice you have a tool up here called Workspace. And if you want, you can quickly switch, and open new workspaces. A workspace is just your user interface with all of your books and everything arranged in the windows the way you like them. This is a real simple, basic interface. I use it to do some basic study. I've got the Christian Standard Bible here, the English Standard Version, and the NA28 Greek New Testament open. This one will change. For example, if I go to Genesis 1, notice how it changes to the Hebrew Old Testament. And so it's one of these texts that are tied with a Hebrew Bible and a Greek Bible. But I want to go back to 1 John 2:15. I'm going to be preaching on this passage Sunday. And so you notice down the left-hand column, you've got your library. You can turn that on or off. I like to leave it off most of the time because notice it gives you more space. However, I'm leaving it on just so you can see it. There's a button here for your daily Bible reading. I don't really use Accordance that way. I can't talk an awful lot about how good the daily Bible reading feature is. But if you really want to, I'm sure you can. It opens up a new workspace, and here it is with a devotional opened up and the text of Scripture open to that verse. It'll pick your most favorite devotional, and that's based on their listings over here in your library. Notice that the listings has a section here called Recently Opened. These are books that I've opened recently. And then texts, I've categorized them as English. Actually, these come this way: English, English Strongs, Greek, Hebrew, International, and then, of course, more gives you other. And so I've ranked these. I've got the CSB and the ESV and the NIV first here. And then notice the other ones that I have here. But you can change that. For example, I'm going to throw... I'm sorry. These are English without Strong's numbers. And these are English with Strong's numbers. That's the difference here. And then I've got my Greek New Testament Bibles. I've got the Mounts New Testament with... Greek numbers, and then NA28 at the top, and then the rest of these are just in alphabetical order, I believe it is. I've only got one Hebrew Bible right now, and then these are some international, and then just some other translations. I put them in the other category because I really don't use them that often. Down here, there's a diagramming tool that you can open up, and notice it shows the New Testament diagrammed in the Greek. I don't really use that all that often, to be quite honest with you. And then we have other tools, biblical studies tools, commentaries, and then notice all the different ones that it has down here. It also has, Accordance has a really nice atlas, which you can open up, and I like the colors version. Brings it back up. And you can, look for things, or these individual locations are tagged in a way, and they have entries. Notice that down here in this box at the bottom, it changes based on what you hover over. It's the same over here in your New Testament. Or if you have a New Testament with Strong's numbers tagged, notice you get that information down there. The CSB is not tagged, and so you don't get anything But when you hover over that, it shows in that area. That's called the Instant Details section. And you can turn it on and off using this tool up here on the toolbar. You can also move it if you want using, let's see, I forget which button it is. There it is. Use that button. You can put it over on that side or put it back. It's useful to have open. The problem is if you're, say, over this word and you want to leave it open, once you move it switches. So what you do is you hit Shift key, and while you're holding the Shift key down, that'll stay the way it is. Notice I just let go. All right, so we're going to close out the atlas. By the way, is excellent. It's got one of the best atlases, in my opinion. I'm still not real great at using it or figuring it out. Anyway, you can search the atlas. For example, let's find Bethlehem. And notice it'll pop up with Bethlehem highlighted in red. It's a little bit hard to see there, but you get the idea. So we'll go ahead and close that out. All right, so these are tabs across here. I've got this tab showing, and in this tab I have 3 parallel windows and then a special window over here. Let's first talk about this one over here. This is called the info pane. And notice I have a button up here called info pane. I can turn on the info pane off and on. And when I turn on the info pane, it gives me, it's kind of like having a research assistant. And that research assistant will then go into your library and look for all kinds of things. For example, it shows your commentaries. And this, again, is based on your ranking of your commentaries. So if we go over here to my commentaries, notice, there we go, that the NIC, the New International Commentary, is the first thing. So it's going to find the NIC entry for John. And then I've got Tyndale's commentary, the Zondervan International Biblical Commentary, and the New American Commentary, Holman Bible Commentary, IVP. So you see how it works. So it gets all of these. Now, if you want more, you can hit the plus button, and that'll go even further down your list. Hit minus if you don't want those. Down below that, you get cross-references. And again, notice how as I hover over these, you see them down in the Instant Details pane. These are topics. It'll find topics from the passage, the verse that you've got open here. And so notice it has commandment, covetousness, enmity, love, worldly, young man. The text, it's talking about John, the first epistle of, timeline. And so then you can open that up into the timeline. I'm not going to spend a lot of time talking about the timeline, but it's a nice feature that's a part of Accordance. You may have to buy one of the higher level packages to get that. The text, that'll open up Holman's Bible Dictionary, which is my top dictionary, going to the outline of 1 John, and so that'll give you an idea what you can do there. Again, let's get the anyway, so we'll close the topics, and then we have a word list. You can either base it on concentration, count, alphabetical order, or verse order. So if we did it in alphabetical order, here's what we would get, but we're going to do it in concentration, which means this subject or this word list is used most. And if you do click on that, you're going to get a search. It's going to open up a new book in that translation, and you get a search. Now notice the search results show the word in its verse. And that's helpful if all you want to see is the verse. But what if you want to see the context of it? This is where Accordance is a little bit different than a lot of other Bible software programs, in that you have to change this slider. It's got a nice handy slider. Some Bible programs just give you the list of verses. Some of them will show the whole verse itself. But with Accordance, you can change the number of verses in context. Notice it's got 4 verses in context, 5 verses in context. And so here you'll get a few verses before, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it'll be 4 verses ahead of, then the verse, and then a couple behind it. That'll change. So now we've got 3 verses ahead of the main verse, or 2 verses rather, because the 2 is highlighted. And so that's the way the searching works. You search up by using this box up here. You can either search for words or verses, or you can use the flex search. And in the flex search, you can search for all kinds of things. Grace, or 1 John 2 or 3, and it'll open it. So that's probably the way most people are going to want to leave it in flex most of the time. You can hit this drop down, and that's lets you control the tabs. You can also hit this drop down and change the book, and it'll take the first few books from each category. Okay. Now you're going to get your search list here. You can clear it if you'd like. Each pane here has its own little mini toolbar where, again, you can change the book here. You can close it. You can change the font size, or you can open this and it gives you a list of tasks that you can perform on the book. If you go over to the info pane back over here, and notice that it has some of those same controls as well, but then we can close it. Now, if you want to add a parallel translation, you've got that right here, so just add it. Let's say we open up also the Hebrew Bible. Doesn't have anything in this one, so let's actually open the NIV instead. And so notice it gives you another parallel. Now eventually it's not going to give you any more based on the size of the book. Click this button and it will compare the English words, and it'll mark up the text based on what's there. So for example, in verse 16 it says, "For everything in the world, the lust of the flesh." And here it'll say, "For all that is in the world." And that shows you that this stricken out doesn't show up in the other one. It's different between the two. All right. So that's the compare button. This will change the orientation from horizontal to vertical. So the windows then move to vertical. I prefer them in horizontal. All right. I've shown you most of the basics. I don't want to get into too much detail about that. Let's just go down here again then to the library. And notice at the bottom it has these buttons. You can show all of your books in your library. You can show only the recently opened books. You can show only your texts, which are Bibles. You can show only your tools. You can show only the backgrounds for the atlas or timeline. Or you can just show your own stuff. I like to leave it at show all because then I can scroll down. But notice that you've got your backgrounds, your My Stuff here at the bottom. My Stuff is things that you create. You can create your own user tools. Gives you some samples. I haven't really done that much. It gives you your own notes. And here it has some sample notes, but then here's my notes, the one I use. Mobile notes will be notes synced from the mobile app on iOS. They're hopefully coming out with an Android version soon. My Stacks. Stacks is a new feature, and I'm not going to get into too many details. Think of it like note cards. You find information and add it to a stack. And later on, you can look through all of your study information. Papers, it's kind of like a word processor inside. These are workspaces, which you can also access using this button up here. My groups, you can create groups of books, and then my bookmarks, which I don't really use bookmarks in Bible software much, but you can add them there. You also have the nice menu up here at the top. Not all Bible software, even in Windows or Mac, has a nice one. Just about everything you can find is here. One of the things I like about Accordance is notice how if two texts are tagged with Strong's numbers, as you hover over them, notice how it's highlighted in this English Standard Version and in the NA28 over here. Another thing you can do if it's tagged is triple click. And it's going to open it up in your top dictionary. And so it opened it up in the Mounce's Greek dictionary. In English, if I triple click on the word lust, it's going to open up a Bible dictionary, and my Holman Bible Dictionary is my top selection there. So that's a quick way to get at some study features. Now, I've just shown you the basics. Again, I'm not an advanced user of Accordance. If you really want to get into more detail as to how to use the program, they have great help tools. And so let's find that here. Actually, I think you can go right from the program, open up help, and it's going to open up a website with help, or you can go to accordancebible.com and support. And these podcasts, they have live webinars that you can sign up to participate in, where you actually have interaction between a trainer. Training seminars, which are sometimes they'll host these in locales nearby. Let's see here: West Chicago, Eatonville, Florida, Orlando, Florida. Even if you're going to be in Israel, you can go to one. They actually have people living in Israel that work with them. How to get started, which is probably a good place to go if you're just starting out with Accordance. They've got a video that's a feature tour, very much like what I'm trying to do for you now. Their blog, forums, they've got great forums with very helpful users. So, you can go in here and learn about Accordance or ask questions. If you think there's a problem, you can post it in the bug swatters in both Mac and Windows and iOS. So the Accordance forums are a really great, useful tool. Here's what I want to say about Accordance. First of all, the speed is amazing. This is kind of a artificial test here, but notice I closed it down. I'm going to work in something else, okay, just so that I, load, the memory will load other things here. And let's go ahead and fire up Safari. Okay, so hopefully that might, sort of clear out things a little bit. But now, if you want to open up Accordance again, there you go. Notice it took about 2 to 3 seconds. On a faster Mac, this is a 2013 MacBook Pro. On a faster Mac, one of the newer ones, it might open up in less than 2 seconds. On a slower Mac, it might take 4 or 5 seconds. On a Windows machine, it might take 4, 5, 6 seconds, something like that. The point is, there are other Bible programs that don't open nearly as fast as this. There are programs that do open this fast, but they're not as complex and therefore not as powerful as well. And so that's something to consider. Accordance is very fast, as well as the searching feature. Let's go ahead and search words, and let's think of, well, we've got, all right, one of the words in our text is possessions. Now, instantly, that found every instance of the word possessions. As I'm scrolling, notice how it's switching. These are following the scroll. The info pane is moving just as quickly. Okay? And so that's something you're going to notice, and that is that the speed with which it works. All right, let's say you want to triple click that to open up, just instantly it's there. So Accordance is really fast. Second thing I think is awesome is the way that they sort of put things right in front of your face. You don't have to work hard to get at things. Every time I hover over these words, it gives me the Greek definition down there below. if I'm in a Greek tagged word book. Same in the Greek. Okay. This commentary, notice I hover over it, and there it is. It's down here in the info or in the instant details pane. That's probably not very convenient because it's going to be a lot longer than that section. So it might be better to then click on it. And if you click on it, it opens it up right here. So it's all right there real fast and ready for you to see what you're looking at. Another thing is you know, the library organization is real convenient. You know, if you know all I want to do is look at my texts or just stuff that I've had open recently, you can quickly jump to that and then get back to it. You can get rid of the library altogether. One thing I haven't shown you yet is analytics. Let's do a search. We'll actually just find one that we recently did, possessions, and then let's show the analytics. All right. So I'm actually going to float this out here. Well, I'm trying to get it. Detach tab. That's what I'm trying to do. Oops. All right. To detach it, that opens it up so you can see the analytics. These are now interactive. Okay. And you can zoom in. What this is a graph of the word possessions and where it shows up in the book of Genesis. Genesis 15:4. You notice it's highlighting that down here. We don't get it anywhere in Exodus, but in Numbers we see it. Okay. And the analytics, we're going to close out of that, and we're now going to change it. Let's get a bar chart. So there it is as a bar chart. Now I just did a real simple thing here, a real simple search, and so this isn't that you know, interesting or useful. But if you do a more complex search, those charts and stuff, those analytics will be a lot more interesting to look at. So, you know, there's some really great tools here. Accordance is incredibly powerful, and you know, I'm really impressed with how powerful it can be. But at the same time, there's a couple of minor things that are slightly annoying. First of all, it doesn't automatically sync with the mobile app, and so you know it's kind of kludgy the way you have to do that. You got to come up here and sync with mobile app. Then it's going to say, all right, well, I don't, you know, I've got to find a mobile app on your network, and so I can open it up on my iPhone here. Let's see. And is it going to find it? Okay, so then on the mobile app you have to go in and you have to manually start it there. So it's not automatic. That's, you know, that's kind of a pain, to be quite honest with you. Has never been synced with this computer. That shows you how little I've been doing it. That's really what I want to sync most of the time. And so, you know, you can click all of these and it's going to sync all of them. That's one way maybe you could install things. Sync now, I don't know how long that's going to take. It's downloading 2 texts, which I didn't have installed. English tools. See, we're just going to stop out of that because that's one reason honestly, that's probably the main reason that I'm not a regular Accordance user. The second thing is the notes feature. Again, let's go back to 1 John 2:15. See now, other Bible programs would let me just hit space and do that and go. Not Accordance. I can't fault them too much for that, but I do wish that was something it did. But 1 John 2:15, notice I've got it open, and I've got 2 notes. And so the notes are down there in the instant pane, but let's open it. All right, that's one way you can see it. Okay. Now I can come over here and I can start editing the notes. I just start typing and that will let me edit it. To create this link here, I had to select the text and go up here to link. You can automatically turn them into links if you want. You can add pictures, which is fine. Change the font. But I'm going to make this bigger so we can see the editing thing better. There is no, you got bold, italics, and that sort of thing. But there's no bold, or bullet lists or numbered lists. It's just very basic. And then second of all, notice that I have to update this on my own. Now, I'm not going to update it because I don't want to change what I edited there. But I just wish it would update automatically. Some of the other Bible programs I use do. I don't have to save it. I know that it's going to be saved almost instantly. And so while accordance is really fast in some ways, that one way they're really slow. What I'm saying is the Bible notes feature, the notes feature in accordance is subpar. And so that's my biggest complaint about the program. And I wish it was a lot better feature. So that's the second reason why I don't use Accordance as my primary Bible software. Other than that, I would if it had those 2 things, if it had automatic syncing and the notes feature. It's an excellent program with lots of power, and so I think that you will be pleased with it. If you want to give it a try, they have a great team of support behind it. You're going to get excellent customer service. If you want to switch from another Bible program, a lot of the books that you would buy in Accordance, if you already own them, you can get what's called a cross grade, meaning they'll give you a cheaper price on that book. Some of the books that I've bought, like the New American Commentary, I owned in another program, and so they gave it to me for a lot less than it would have been otherwise. Same with the New International Commentary. And so these are some of the reasons that you might want to consider making a switch over to Accordance. This has been Kevin Purcell with this Theotek Extra, and it's part of a review for Church Tech Today. Thank you for watching.